G'day, welcome back to Outback Action Figures. Now, as you can see here, we've got a big old dose of classic 80s cartoon nostalgia. I come across these recently, and the first one I spotted was actually this Skeletor and Megatron mashup here. So this whole set is obviously Masters of the Universe and Transformers, a bit of a mashup of the two. But yeah, I spotted him online and thought, you know what, that's a pretty cool design. And I didn't really think much more of it, and then I popped out the other day, I was in JB Hi-Fi, and I spotted they had the whole set there on the shelf. So I thought, oh, you know what, it's all right there, so let's just grab these and take a look. Now, these designs are just awesome. I love how they've incorporated both sides of the characters into each of these figures. You have clearly the Masters of the Universe characters represented, and then all their armor and details is clearly incorporating the Transformers characters as well. So I think they've done a great job with the designs. Even the packaging too. You can tell they've really put a lot of love into that. It's not just slap a logo on it and there you go. So I love what they've done there. So yeah, we'll start off. All the packaging is fairly similar between all four of them. So I'll just take a quick look at all the boxes and then we'll actually crack on and get into it. All right, so start off over here with the Bumblebee and Man-at-Arms. So you've got the classic sort of grid pattern from the Transformers style. The font at the bottom is very reminiscent of the Masters of the Universe. Now, obviously you have here Castle Grayskull, done in that sort of grid, wireframe pattern. And we have the big Autobots logo on top, Transformers logo, again with the Autobots, and then, there we go, the Masters of the Universe logo at the top there. Now, it's done, if I can get it in the right angle and the light, it's done in, yeah, there we go. Both of the logos are done in that sort of glossy, embossed kind of thing. So you can feel the different sheen on there, and it really, it catches the light as well, like I said. And all of them have this cool little artwork of the character up in the top corner, which is done in that same sort of glossy, embossed kind of thing. But yeah, again, just awesome design there. On this side, we've got the Transformers character, so there's Bumblebee, of course. On the opposite side, you have Man-at-Arms. On the back, we have, again, just that same, well, awesome artwork, but yeah, it's actually a different image to the one that was on the front. And it shows you a quick little preview of some of the accessories there. But yeah, that's it for him. We'll move on. So over this side we have Scareglow and Starscream, the mashup there. We get that same sort of Transformers grid pattern, obviously in the purple this time for the bad guys, and that shows the Snake Mountain here, Skeletor's lair. And same sort of setup on this side. We obviously have the Decepticons logo on the top, again with the Transformers logo there with the Decepticons. More cool little artwork of the character up in the top corner. And here we go. On this side we have the Masters of the Universe Scareglow. On this side we have the Transformers Starscream. So I love how they've incorporated that into all four of these. The classic design, having the two different characters on either side, and then, obviously the mashup in the middle. Putting the alignment, whether it's Decepticons or Autobots, the logo on top. I love the whole style here. They've done it really well. On the back, we have another just fantastic artwork here. Now, I'm thinking, sometimes the packaging, it's just rubbish. You throw it away once you get the toy out. But these actually look like they'd be really cool to maybe cut out that panel and, keep it as a bit of artwork to hang up on the wall or something, I think it's worth hanging on to anyway, in this case. It's not just rubbish. It's very classic, sort of retro 80s style, so that looks fantastic. I love what they've done. So, moving on, of course, we have the two main characters here in the middle. Alright, so, same sort of thing, of course, the grid pattern. Castle Grayskull up on the top here, of course, for the good guys. On this side, we have, of course, He-Man from Masters of the Universe. And then Optimus Prime from the Transformers. The same logo on top, the same embossing here. He has his own version of the character art there in the corner. And again, on the back, some more awesome artwork with that same embossed thing on there. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to keep these. The art on them is fantastic. They've really put a lot of love and care into the details on here, so it looks fantastic. Alright, and finally, last but not least, as I said before, this was the first one I actually spotted from this set. He was the whole reason I was even considering actually getting these. And so yeah, just more awesome details here. Of course, we have He-Man. We have Skeletor on this side, of course, from the Masters of the Universe. And then you have Megatron on this side. The two, main bad guys from both series. The perfect mashup of putting these two together, I think. And again, of course, logos on top, the glossy thing. Now this has an awesome little character art on the top here as well. I think the whole idea of just, mixing these two together, just the end result looks amazing. I love it. And again, just more absolutely fantastic artwork on the back. I really love what they've done here. Like I said, I got these from JB Hi-Fi. They originally had these for $37, or $36.98, but they do have their price matching policy, and I was able to find them cheaper online. So I got this whole set here. I can't remember. One of them was about $29, and the rest of them all came down to about $20 each. So the whole set was about $90, basically, for all four of these. And as I mentioned before, any prices I ever say on my videos here, it's all in Australian dollars, of course. Anyway, that's enough about all the packaging. Let's just crack on, and we'll have a look at these. So I think I'll start from the sides here, and we'll work our way into the middle. Alright, so we'll kick it off with Bumblebee Man-at-Arms. Let's take a look. Alright, so we've obviously looked at the packaging already, so I figured let's just bust it open and have a look at him. Right, we see on the inside flap here, they actually have a cool little sort of power chart kind of thing there. So it looks like strength is 6, looks like speed is 4, I think that's intelligence is the full 10, and then I guess that's fighting skill or combat. Either way, that's up to 8. That's a cool little thing. That's very reminiscent of the old sort of retro toys where they'd give you the stats of the characters. But anyway, yeah, we'll crack them open. Let's have a look. So here we go. We've got the figure out of the box, plus his accessories here. It does actually come with a decent amount of stuff too, which looks pretty cool. So have a look at the figure here. Now, obviously he has, like I said at the start, he's got the great incorporation of the two characters together. So it's very classic Man-at-Arms. He's got his big helmet and the sort of, chest collar armor piece, whatever you call that. But it also, obviously has the Autobots logo right there. Has the yellow colors, very reminiscent of Bumblebee. Has the horns on the side, again, classic Bumblebee design. And a few extra little armor bits along the side here as well. Now the cool thing is, this one on the leg, it's, the clips just sort of go around the edges, not all the way, like it's not completely sealed, so that easily just pops off. If you want it, a bit of a clean look, or you can even just pop it onto his other leg. So it gives you options there. You can change it up a little bit if you like. This other sort of forearm bit here, this one pops off as well. You can pop that hand out, and then this armor bit comes off. It's a little trick. It's not tricky. It's just the peg that holds that hand in is quite stiff, so you really have to pull quite hard on it. But it does come out, no problem. So it looks like you could probably swap that to the other arm over here as well if you wanted to. They have the same little sort of bracer around the wrist here, same shape, that sort of hexagonal design as you can see on the bottom there. This other bit, it does wrap all the way around, so I think that one sort of stays on. But anyway, yeah, he's just cool. Comes with a few, cool little armor decorations and bits and pieces. This little sort of port on the back here as well, and chest armor, as you can see, has just little tabs under there. So that if you wanted to, that just pops open. If you want to take this off for just a different look, or if for whatever reason you just want a big sort of bulky muscle body for a custom piece or something, you could use it for that. If you undo both of these and just take that chest piece completely off, there we go. You just have the plain, big muscular body underneath. But anyway, that's not what I'm doing. I just like them as they are. The cool little mashup designs look awesome to me, so we'll keep that on. But just so you know, if you are interested in doing anything like that, you can pop that off quite easily. Now the chest piece, it's solid, but it's slightly softer rubber, or not rubber, but like slightly softer plastic. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't hinder the movement at all, and just looks pretty cool. Now, that neck sort of ball does seem slightly loose. It doesn't, like it's on there, it's not going to pop off, but as you saw when I pulled that chest piece armor off, the head just came with it as well. So, it's not going to just fall off, but it is a little bit loose, so a little bit of pressure and it just pops off there. It doesn't seem to really like snap back on. Yeah, there's some other figures where you swap out the head and you can feel it like really pop when you push down. This one doesn't seem to do that, but like I said, it's secure, it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, awesome design. I think they've done a really good job here. Like I said before, it's just, yeah, it's cool. It incorporates both characters perfectly and just looks like a fun little piece. So we'll check out the accessories here. He comes with a big shield with the Autobots logo in the middle there. It's done quite nice and cleanly. I don't know if it's like a sticker or a little decal sort of thing, but anyway, that's done perfectly. I'm not sure if these are like magnets or something on the back, or maybe they just cover up like screw holes or something. Not sure about that, because there doesn't appear to be anything else metallic on it, so I don't know why there would be magnets on it. But anyway, that bit just grips onto his hand. We'll have a look at that. So you just pop that into his grip hand there, and then the other bit just goes over the arm. There we go. So that sits on there nice and secure. It's not going anywhere. And it has another little slot on the front here, just sort of on the back of the hand, where you can put the handle of the sword in, and then it becomes, an offensive weapon as well. You have, defense for the shield, and then the sort of energon, whatever, sword here as well. So obviously you can plug it in there. You can just put the normal handle into his other grip hand here. Let's see. Yeah, he holds onto that perfectly fine as well. So you can have him in, the more sort of classic fantasy sort of style, sword and shield. Or he does have, well, I guess that's a bit sci-fi as well, because it's an energy sword, not just a typical sword. But yeah, he has his classic sort of mace club thing as well from, obviously Man-at-Arms. And then he comes with a little blaster as well, which is very reminiscent of Bumblebee. So just fairly simple, just plain grey plastic there, but still looks cool. This whole set just has that very, sort of retro 80s feel to it. So, they're not like the most highly sophisticated, super detailed, super articulated, most up-to-date modern features and everything, but that's not what these are for. These are just very classic nostalgia, just fun little retro figures. Oh, there is also a little visor here as well. You can plug that on to do the more sort of Bumblebee style look for him. The cool part is, this little blue bit at the top is slightly transparent, so When you plug that on, you can actually... it's a little tricky, but you can see his eyes in behind it. So we'll have a look at that now. Let's try and pop that in. And the head comes off again. But yeah, there we go. That's how he looks with the visor on. So you can just see the eyes painted in there as well, underneath the visor. But either way, yeah, it just gives you another option. You can change up his look a little bit. Now, for the articulation, like I said, it's fairly simple. He just has that, you know, dumbbell joint at the top, a little bit of movement at the bottom of the neck. So you can get full rotation from side to side. Gets a little bit of tilt as well, which is cool. And he gets not much leaning back, a little bit leaning forward until it runs into that sort of armor plate at the front there. For the arms, you obviously get full rotation going around, and it comes up to about 90 degrees. And you just have a single joint at the elbow, so it's not quite a 90-degree bend there. It's close, but then that swivels in and out as well, so it gives you a little bit extra range. Let's see, for the wrist, you get full rotation on those, and then they hinge in and out. It might have been nice to see like an up and down hinge for one of these weapon hands, but either way, like I said, these are that more sort of retro style, so they're fairly simple. But anyway, that's all good. Now for the torso, you don't actually get any sort of crunch back or forward. It's just the rotation at the waist there. But like I said, these are that very retro style, so it's pretty much what you expect. Let's see, for the legs, they kick forward a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, they're fairly tight leg joints on there, but as you can see, you get a little bit of swing back and forward. And same like the elbows, they just have the one joint there. Now I think from when I tried bending this a bit earlier just to test it out there, they're quite stiff as well. Might need to heat up these legs a little bit just to loosen them, but if I pop that off, let's see. Yeah, it's... They can bend. I think it's just... I don't want to break it, so I won't push that too far. Yeah, and then with the feet, they bend like all the way back. Get a fair way forward, and then have the ankle pivot on there. And you get rotation at the top of the boot there as well. So yeah, fairly simple articulation scheme, but you know, it's, like I said, I don't want to just repeat myself, but yeah, it is that retro style. They're not the most up-to-date modern articulation setup, but they're just a fun little piece to have on your display. And like I said, yeah, it comes with a lot of little extra pieces, so there we go. That's it for him. We'll move on to the next one. So we've got Scareglow up next, and Starscream is one of my favourite characters from Transformers, so I'm really looking forward to this guy. I reckon he's going to be a lot of fun, so let's crack into it and have a look. So he has one of these sort of power charts as well. It's all a bit more even. We've got 7, 8, 8, and 7. And yeah, same sort of thing. We've got the strength, speed, intelligence, and combat skill. So yeah, again, just another cool little thing. I'm glad they included that. There he is. And we'll take a closer look. Let's see what we got here. So here we go. We've got the figure here and his accessories. Now, he doesn't come with quite as much stuff, but I think part of that is because he has this big cape piece here, so that probably took up a bit of the budget or a bit of the space in the box as well. But anyway, yeah, he's another just awesome looking figure. I really love, again, just they've done such a great job of incorporating both sides of these characters into the one figure. So I love this, how it's got the sort of skull looking face from Scareglow, but that very classic, you know, Starscream design for the helmet as well. You know, the chest plate is that very typical, you know, fighter jet sort of design of Starscream, of course. But it does include this sort of, you know, the bits on the side, the vents kind of look a bit like a rib cage. Yeah, he has this awesome, like, big shoulder pads here, and the sort of chunky gauntlets on the wrist, you know, around the forearms. You know, very reminiscent of the Transformers armor, of course. Now, the legs is where it changes up a bit. Well, I mean, similar with Man-at-Arms before. You know, it has the sort of, the top part is a bit more bare, just sort of big muscular body. And then at the bottom, it has the big sort of chunky Transformer armor, kind of boots. Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. There's a slight bit of sort of paint splotch on that bit there. But otherwise, it looks really clean. You know, all the rest of the paint seems to be done quite nicely. And now this is one where, I think I mentioned before, but it does, some of the parts on him actually glow in the dark. So where it's got the bits on the chest here, like, that aren't painted, where it looks a bit sort of translucent, that cloudy sort of color in between, you know, those gaps in between, those are actually like glow in the dark sort of plastic. Same along the arms here, you got the sort of big chunky bits, you know, the big muscular bicep and everything, and then the black sort of paint around the back of it. So those exposed bits at the front are actually glow in the dark plastic too. Now, unfortunately, it's nighttime right now as I'm filming this, so I won't have a chance to test out that glow. I did try just turning the lights off, you know, but I think, you know, for the actual glow parts, you need to, I mean, I think it's the actual UV light they need to absorb to be able to glow. Anyway, we might have a look at that some other time and see if we can actually get him glowing, but for now, I think, yeah, the design just looks awesome. So we'll chuck on the cape here as well. Now, it's got a cool little texture on it. It's not a super solid, like, hard plastic. It's a little bit sort of soft and flexy. It's definitely going to hold its shape like this. You know, it's not actually posable. You know, there's no wires in it or anything like that. It's just a solid piece. But it is a little bit soft. You know, it's not a completely, like, hard plastic shell. But anyway, yeah, it looks cool, and it really adds to the shelf presence of him as well. If we plug this in, we'll see what I mean. Just got the 2 sockets on the back, and then the 2 pegs there, so that should line up perfectly. There we go. How about that? Now, with his accessories, he comes with these 2 parts where I believe these are just sort of multi-purpose weapons. So you can have him holding onto it like that as a bit of a blaster sort of thing. You can have him holding the handle down here as an axe. Or then these 2 pegs on the side plug into his arms here. So then you get the sort of wings look from Starscream. And the cool thing is, this one has a little peg, this one has a socket, so you can actually plug them together to make, you know, like a big double-ended sort of axe weapon. You can have them that way, or, you know, have them both facing the same way. Like that. But yeah, it's cool. Like, they look fairly simple, you know, it's a cool little design of the sculpt, and, you know, nice clean paint again, and the little Decepticons logo is done nice and cleanly as well. But it's cool, they give you plenty of options of however you want to use them. So I think the main thing, as I was saying, like with the shelf presence of having that cape plugged in on the back, let's plug these in as the wings on his arm, and we'll see how that looks. There, now that just looks awesome. And of course he has his crown, let's plug that on top as well. Get that to just slot down over the helmet. Yeah, how cool is that? So like I said, yeah, that just really adds to his whole shelf presence. He just looks fantastic. I love that design. Now the only problem is, like, once you have everything plugged in, well, I mean, not that he came with a lot of stuff anyway, it was just these 2 sort of wing weapon things. Once you have those plugged in, then he doesn't actually have anything else to hold on to. So it's a slight bit of a shame, but with some of the other accessories with the other guys, like, you know, Man-at-Arms had a lot of spare pieces. Maybe we could pinch a sword off him, or the blaster, or something like that. But anyway, yeah, just this on its own, I think that looks fantastic. He could easily be, you know, a centerpiece of this kind of display. Very, yeah, just awesome shelf presence. Like I said, he looks fantastic. Now, unfortunately, these bits, you know, the sort of detail bits sticking up on the crown are very thin, so they've kind of bent a little bit while they're in the packaging. Might have to try heating those up at one point and see if we can get them to stand up straight again. I don't want to push it too far and end up snapping it off, so I'll just leave it for now. I mean, it still looks good from the front. You can't quite see any, you know, damage to it, but especially if you look from above, you'll see, you know, these bits on this, well, on his left, if you look at it, you know, from his point of view, the ones on his left are a bit bent. So it's a little bit of a shame, but it's not the end of the world, you know. Like I said, I think a little bit of heat on that, we can probably just get him to stand up again, so should be fine. But anyway, yeah, just another awesome figure in this set. I think he looks fantastic. Whoops, get him to stand. That's one downside with the cape. It does add a little bit of weight on his back, so you kind of need to lean him forward a little bit. There we go. And yeah, the articulation setup is basically identical to the first one, the Man-at-Arms, but we'll just have a quick look. So he does get that, you know, a little bit of tilt from side to side with the head. There's the rotation, the same as before, and yeah, there we go, the same back and forward tilt on there. Now, these big shoulder pads on the side, they look like, I mean, they are obviously attached, but it looks like it's just sort of a plastic ring that goes underneath the arm there. So, you know, you can swing the arm forward, and that just sort of comes with it. It's a little tricky. I'll pop these wing pieces out for now, just so we can get a proper look at how that moves. But yeah, that can just spin around. It gets a little tricky at the back there, the shoulder pad in particular. Oops, pop this helmet off. Yeah, it kind of runs into the cape a little bit, so you just kind of have to fold it out to the side a little to get the whole way around, but either way, it's all good. It can fold up now, because I think where they've added that bit to plug the wing in, it kind of blocks, you know, his arm doesn't really lift up much further than that, unfortunately. But you can lift forward and then come out that way. So it's not too bad. And you get the same, you know, single joint for the elbow, which just comes up to roughly a 90-degree bend, and then it, you know, swivels from side to side as well. Same thing with the hands there, they just swivel around and have the in and out hinge on them. Same sort of torso setup, you know, there's no crunch back and forward, you just have the waist rotation. Same with the legs. Now these ones do feel a little bit looser than the Man-at-Arms, so they come forward a bit, not a huge amount, and then swing back. They can come out to the side pretty well. There we go, and the same, you know, single joint knees. Yeah, these knee joints are definitely a bit looser than the first one. Not in a bad way, just, yeah, they're not like stiff and feel like they're going to snap or anything. So yeah, you get that. Just single joint there, and then that has a bit of a swivel, same as the elbow. And then the feet, basically the same as well. They come all the way back and most of the way forward, and then they have the ankle pivot as well, and the rotation at the top of the boot there too. So yeah, like I said, basically the same setup. I'm pretty sure they're all going to be the same, so I'll just quickly run through it with the last two. But yeah, again, like I said, just fantastic. I love how this guy looks. Starscream, like I said before, is one of my favorites, so I think I was always going to like this design, and yeah, especially with the wings on the side, the cape on the back, and once we find the crown, we pop that back on top, and yeah, he just looks fantastic. So that's it for him. We'll move on to the next one. So, one of the main characters here, let's take a look at He-Man. Ooh, alright, so his stats are basically all 10. The only thing slightly lower is speed, which is 9. So there we go, he's pretty much good at everything. Now, the cool thing, I forgot to mention with the other two, that they actually have, like the inset sort of thing in the box here is a cool little just background display. So, it'll probably just stay in the box, but if you ever wanted to, use it as a little backdrop for taking pictures or anything like that, I think it would work perfectly for that. Get this tape off without tearing it. Oh, shit. There we go. I jinxed myself. Alright, well, we'll deal with that later. Anyway, let's take a look at the actual figure. So, here we go. We've got He-Man in the Optimus Prime armor. And he has his bunch of accessories here too. Not a huge amount, but quite decent anyway. And I think this is another one. I know I keep saying it, but it just incorporates both sides of the mashup, both characters, just perfectly into this one figure. So it clearly hits all the He-Man beats. Under the helmet here, you've got the classic sort of, He-Man head and the blonde hair and all that. He has his chest harness here, which is just, been perfectly incorporated into the Optimus Prime sort of chest design as well. The big muscular legs, just like the other ones. Big chunky arms as well, with the Optimus shoulder pads. Obviously the helmet there as well. Same thing with the chunky gauntlets here and the hands. And then you have the chunky Transformer style boots at the bottom. So yeah, again, just absolutely perfect. It hits all the right beats of both characters, and yeah, just looks fantastic. He comes with some cool stuff here as well. So we'll take a look. We obviously have the Sword of Power here, and then into the hilt is incorporated the Matrix of Leadership as well. So again, it's just the figures have perfectly incorporated both characters. The accessories have done the same thing. It's He-Man's iconic sword, and then the Matrix of Leadership from the Transformers, just mixed into that perfectly. So yeah, the designers have really just done a fantastic job with this, and I personally feel like it seems like they've had a lot of fun as well mixing these two properties together. So yeah, again, just absolutely perfect. Same sort of thing, we've got a shield here done in the, sort of sci-fi energy kind of thing. And again, these really just look fantastic. The sculpts are awesome. There's no paint on here, but the translucent plastic, it just looks fantastic. It represents the sort of energy design perfectly, I think. And then, moving on, we have his axe as well. Now, of course, Optimus Prime, when he really needs to fight, he has his sort of energy axe that comes out of, his hand. And yeah, this just represents that perfectly as well. It's got a bit of that sort of classic medieval fantasy kind of design, but then done in the translucent orange to give it that energy sort of effect as well. So yeah, again, just another awesome piece. And he comes similar to the Bumblebee Man-at-Arms. He has this little faceplate thing that you can attach to the helmet as well. So I'll chuck that on now and let's have a look. Yep, there we go. So that, again, just adds a little bit more sort of Optimus flavor to him. So I think I'll probably keep it like this because that looks awesome. I mean, like I said, it gives you options. You can have him, without that, it looks slightly more He-Man. With it, it's that little bit more Optimus sort of style. These are just fantastic figures, They're a little different to what I normally go for, with most of my stuff, whether it's Marvel or DC or G.I. Joe or whatever. Their proportions are generally a bit more realistic, as opposed to these, more retro-style ones with the massive chunky arms and bulky legs and all that. The sort of shorter, squat kind of proportions compared to the other ones. But these are really just fun, and it's such a perfect combination of the two properties put together. I think they've really just done a fantastic job, and yeah, they're just awesome. I love it. Now, the cool thing I just noticed on the back as well, he has this little bit here. It looks like you can slot the sword in that, which looks pretty awesome as well. That's another sort of classic He-Man thing. He always has his sword on his back. So, yeah, that fits in there perfectly. Let's actually test out some of the accessories too, see how they look. So, yeah, got that same articulation set up, the single joint elbow. I won't bother going over the whole thing because, yeah, it's exactly the same as before. The only difference here looks like is that because of the big chunky shoulder pads, he can't lift his shoulders out to the side any further than that. But otherwise, it's all the same, just the waist rotation there, same thing with the legs, single joint for the knees, Anyway, you get the idea. They're all the same basic sort of muscular body underneath, just with the different overlay pieces and different heads, of course, different accessories, all that sort of thing, but yeah, the same basic structure underneath. Now, let's see, we've popped that handle, bend it out a little bit, stick that handle onto his hand, there we go. Alright, so we can hold that shield there perfectly. And, actually, one difference with the articulation, I did notice this hand actually does have the up and down for the weapon-wielding hand, so looks like we'll be able to get him into the classic, I have the power sort of pose with his sword. So, let's give that a go. A little tricky, the plastic on his hands was quite stiff, so just had to take him off the screen for a sec, but yeah, there we go. You get him into that classic holding the sword up pose. Just get him to balance now. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, it was nice to see. It would have been nice to see on one of those other figures if they had the up and down hand like this for the weapon wielding hand. But so glad that they've included it here because this is just such an iconic pose, especially for He-Man to be, raising up his sword. And yeah, I think again this just looks absolutely fantastic. It's a perfect display. I think he looks awesome, and yeah, not really much more I can say about it. He's just a fantastic little figure here. Right, so that's about it for him. We'll move on to the final one of Skeletor. So last but definitely not least, of course, here we have Skeletor. Now, because it's a mix of Skeletor and Megatron, I keep going to accidentally call him Skeletron, which I guess is kind of a cool name. But anyway, now we've already checked out the box. Let's just crack into it. Have a look at his power chart here. So, yeah, his is not quite as good as the He-Man and Optimus. We got 9, 5, 8, and 9. Still decent, but anyway, enough about that. Let's look at the actual figure. Yeah, straight away, some of those accessories that were sort of hidden in behind the box there just look awesome. Can't wait to actually crack this all out, so let's get on with it, see what he's got. Alright, so here we have Skeletor and his accessories as well. Now, straight away, like after taking this out of the box and just messing with it for a couple of minutes, I can already tell he is instantly the winner of this set. He's just such a cool figure. Wait till we get onto the accessories and you'll see there's just such an awesome little feature with that as well. Yeah, he looks fantastic. I've always thought that when it comes to these old school comics, old school cartoons and comics as well, I guess. But, the villains always just had the coolest sort of looks, whether it was their costumes or armor or whatever it was. And this is just another perfect example of that. The combination of, the Skeletor pieces with the Megatron armor over the top, it's done just absolutely perfectly here. Such a cool design. I absolutely love this. I really can't say enough good things about it. It's just so awesome. Now, one of the cool things straight off the bat is that these little armor bits on the side are hinged. Just little hinges up on the top of the shoulder there. So you can lift his arm up and that gets out of the way. So straight away, that's an improvement on the way they had the big shoulder pads on He-Man and Optimus. Now, obviously, it's a different design, so they possibly couldn't have done the hinges like this on the other one, but I love how they've incorporated that here, so you can get that little bit of extra movement out of the arm there. And it even, the way it's been designed, it sort of replicates the same kind of, loincloth sort of tabard, I think, whatever you call it, the bit hanging down here. So where it's got, the 3 sort of straps hanging down with the rivets on the end. Anyway, it has the same thing here with the, the studs. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. It's got the same thing. There's 3 stripes with the studs at the bottom. So, that perfectly sort of replicates the design here as well. You've obviously got the big, Decepticons logo right in the middle. The, crossed, well, the crossed bones that he normally has, that Skeletor normally has on his outfit. All the sort of silvery grey metallic parts from Megatron. Big chunky gauntlets again for the arms. Again, like I was saying, you have the loincloth bit with all the studs and stuff on the belt there as well. More just, chunky little details and panel lines and stuff on the back here. And we get the same thing, the big muscular legs, and then the feet at the bottom, the sort of chunky Transformer boots. Yeah, I can't say enough positive things about this. Oh, of course, the head, the glowing sort of, not literally glowing, but, the sort of neon green skull, obviously Skeletor, and then the big chunky helmet from Megatron. Just the classic, iconic designs of both of these characters have just mashed up so perfectly here. I know I just sound like I'm gushing over it, but honestly, this is just such a cool design. I really love it. And like I said, once we get onto the accessories, you'll see this is just such a cool figure here. Now, starting off here, we've got, it's a fairly simple kind of sword mixed with the Havoc staff. You have the, the sort of goat's head on the top. And with this little peg on the side here, I mean, it looks like he can just hold on to it normally like a sword. There we go. But that peg on the side, you've got a little socket on his backpack here. So you can plug that into the side and just have, the little head sort of peeking over his shoulder there. So I love that they've included that little feature. It's not just a weapon, it can be a little sort of, decorative thing on his back there. And following on that same theme, the sort of goat thing for the Havoc staff, we've got this sort of energy whip kind of thing. Now this is obviously more from the Transformers side, the energy weapons. Sort of like how He-Man had the orange axe, from Optimus. So yeah, Megatron here, well, Skeletor, Megatron, Skeletron, whatever you want to call him. He has this whip reminiscent of the Megatron design, but of course with the, the goat skull at the end again, or the goat's head. Now the cool thing is you can actually pop this out from the handle. There we go, and it has a peg there that you can plug directly in where the hands go. So I'll have a look at that in a sec and we'll try it out, but for now, we'll just pop that back in, and we can obviously just hold on to that like a normal weapon. If we, now these hands are a little bit stiff, but let's see, we should be able to just plug that in. There we go, perfect. Yeah, there we go, you have them just holding that normally, and if we just twist that around so the head is actually facing the right way, there we go. So yeah, again, just looks awesome. Cool little details on here. The translucent plastic is done perfectly, and it is a bit soft. You know, it's not like super stiff. It's not going to stay out. It does hang down sort of naturally as a, well, I don't know about an energy whip, but a regular whip would just hang down loose. But anyway, the main thing, as I said, there is such a cool feature with this piece here. Now, I'll show you. Originally, it has the little slot on the bottom here, and then he has these bits on his wrist gauntlets. So you can plug that in. Right, there we go. So, obviously that is reminiscent of the big arm cannon that Megatron has, and it works perfectly for that. Looks awesome. Obviously, again, you have the big goat's or ram's head, whatever it is, to represent the Skeletor side of things. But it comes with this extra play feature that it blew me away. When I took this out of the box and was mucking around with it, I saw what you could do with this, and I literally just sat here and laughed and went, that is so fucking cool. Now, I apologize. I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to swear on YouTube, but I just, yeah. It's seriously, it's just such a cool feature. So, enough talk about it, let's just actually have a look at it. So, the end of the blaster here, the cannon, comes out. The head rotates down that way, and then we can plug this back into the bottom, and bam, now you've actually got the Havoc staff. It has a handle here that was sort of hidden away, which you can plug into his hand there, and boom, there we go. Now he has a gigantic staff. Which, oh man, I just sat here and laughed when I saw it, and I'm like, that is such a cool design how they've done that. It incorporates both iconic weapons of both sides of this character, Skeletor's staff and Megatron's big cannon, and incorporates them both into the one weapon. Just such a simple, such a cool design. I absolutely love it. Now, it's obviously big chunky piece like this. Now it's hard to get him to stand up properly, so let's see if I can just get him to balance. Might have to spread the legs out a bit, but anyway. Almost got it, I think. Anyway, I'll just lean him up on the backdrop for now. Yeah, like I said, such a cool design. I love how they've done that. And I bet the people that actually designed this figure, I bet they would have just been so stoked when they come up with this idea. I can't get over how cool that is. I know it's such a simple design. You just, pull this piece out, plug it into the other one, rotate the head on top here. But I love it. Sometimes these simple designs are just absolutely the best. They could have included two separate pieces, like one cannon and then one staff, and that would have been awesome to see, but the way they've integrated them both into this one item is just brilliant. Absolutely love it. Now, like I said, this is my winner of this set. I think he's just such a cool design, looks absolutely fantastic. Now, here's the whole reason that I actually have this set in the first place. It was a few weeks back, I just stumbled across a photo of this particular figure online, and I think I mentioned, I don't normally go for these retro sort of stocky, weird proportions sort of figures. It's just not the kind of thing I normally go for, but I spotted this and I was like, you know what? Just something about the mashup of these two characters was just such a cool sort of thing. It just, I don't know, it just hit me somewhere. It struck a nerve is not the right term exactly, I'm not sure. But, it just hit me somewhere. I went, ooh, that's just really cool. And so I looked it up online, I was considering buying him. And then, yeah, like I said, I just popped into JB Hi-Fi. They had the whole set of 4 right there on the shelf. So I went, done. I'll grab them all right now, and here we go. So, these have just been such a cool little fun thing to look through. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. Before we wrap things up, I'll get all 4 of them here together, and we'll just get a group shot and see how they all look. So let's do that now. Alright, so there we go. We've got all 4 set up here just to show how they look all together. And I know I've said this plenty of times, but I really just think these are a nice, just awesome, fun little set. They look fantastic, and they're just perfect mashups of each of these individual franchises into their combined characters. So, as I've said, the Skeletor, Megatron, that's easily the winner of this set for me. He looks awesome. I just love that design. The functionality with the weapons is fantastic. And like I said, the bad guys always just look the coolest, if you ask me. Yeah, they all look cool, but yeah, he's definitely the winner for me. I'm glad I managed to find the whole set here. And thanks to JB Hi-Fi's price match policy, I was able to get these pretty cheap as well. So it always pays to ask. If you just have a look online, you find them cheaper and they'll match it for you. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. And please subscribe if you haven't yet. Stay tuned. I will have some more He-Man and Transformers stuff coming up soon. I've got some of the Masters of the Universe Chronicles figures from the new movie. And I've also got some YOLO Park AMK model kits coming in soon as well. So, if you like He-Man, if you like Transformers, stick around. We'll have some more of both of those coming up soon. Alright, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers. See you later.